Hi, this is a video talking about how to edit our source code in lunarvim. I hope you can hear me. There's a loud truck outside. So I'm recording this on Thursday, July 4th. And I'm going to walk through this. The difference from a previous video I made is I actually have a table of contents. And I recommend with learning Vim or lunarvim or anything, just starting very simple and writing down on a piece of paper some keystrokes. And do kind of like what I've done with the stars here. So I'm in Vim, I'm in lunarvim at the moment. I have relative line numbers turned on. And I'm going to turn that off just to show you how to do that. So set no relative line number. Okay, so now you can see I've changed how that works. Let's see. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to set up your config.lua for our mode, and also for what's called treble. Now, I could actually just at the moment right now do GF and it would edit that file, which is pretty cool, but I'm going to close that. I'm going to show you another thing, which is I'm going to press, I guess there's another one. By underline, I mean space. I'm not sure that's really the right word for that, but okay, so I'm going to do that, space, semicolon. Now I'm in what I'll call the control center, and you can do some stuff. You can see recent files. I'm not exactly sure what projects seem to be like directories or something. I'm not too sure. Recent files can be useful. Find text I never used. It's probably useful, but it probably is useful, but I'm not going to show it. I'm going to do configuration. Now I can type enter at this moment, or I can type C. You can see the C over there. Maybe I'll type C. And it gives me a chance to say that as I type letters, they'll appear in this little temporary window. Okay, so your config.lua file, and it's in like a certain place. It's in the place which you can see right here, config / blah, blah. When you install lunarvim, it will set up a default for you. And it won't look like this. I suspect it won't look much like this. But I'm going to walk through this anyway. So this block here is stuff for working in Python, which I've been doing lately. But this video is about R, so I'm going to skip all that stuff. Okay, what I'm doing here, and -- means commented out. This language that you're seeing here is Lua. And this is saying, I want tab stop to be at 4 characters. Okay, so this, if I had set this to false, I had it true. That's why it was appearing with relative line numbers. You know, I don't know, you could just copy these, I suppose. This is setting the text width to 70. And I think what this does is if I'm editing text, it wraps the lines or something, but there's all sorts of variations in that. I'm setting the color scheme here to slate. You can also use space SC to try different color schemes. I'll type it space SC. And for example, I could do dark blue. Looks exactly the same, SC. Maybe, oh yeah, so I'm previewing it here. I'm using Control N to go down, but you could also use your arrows to go down. Anyways, you're seeing preview. Some of them I find quite glaring. I'll go for desert for a while. I tend to change them up. Like as my eyes get tired through the day, I tend to change them. It's just for fun anyway. Okay, this one is important. I'm setting the local leader to be comma. Leader is the thing that begins a keystroke command. It takes, when you're in normal mode, a keystroke command is what you type. So space is what lunarvim takes as the leader, the global leader, I think. But this is saying I want the local leader to be comma. I can't explain the subtle difference between them. Okay. Now, I believe that you, and I recommend doing that because everything I'm about to tell you is going to use that. Okay, and now I think you'll have, when it was set up, it would have set a thing called lvim.plugins. So you ought to navigate down there. And the way it works is there's a curly brace here. I'm pressing like % to go back and forth there. So there's like 20 lines of stuff here. It's curly brace. And then in it, you have little blocks, and they're done by curly brace and a comma, and I may as well show you, go back to the end here. You also put a comma at the end of it. Can you see there's a oh, it's only everything else is commented out. I'm not even using there's hundreds of color schemes that you can play with. So you don't really need to do that lunarvim colors, but I recommend it. Why not? Okay, now here we get into the R stuff. You can see I've commented out these lines. These lines. What these lines are doing is installing a mode for editing R. And the syntax of this is that the thing in quotes will have something slash something. And the first is a GitHub username, it's r-nvim. And the second is the repo name. And then you can give extra arguments to it. And I can't even tell you exactly what I think these extra arguments are. Now I could delete these. I mean, I could do that and then X to delete that stuff, which is good, but I just typed U to undo it. Another thing you can do that's sort of useful is space slash, and that either comments or uncomments stuff, just switches that. Okay, so at this stage, I guess I recommend just copying that actually. And I'm going to do the same for this Volca trouble thing. And I just uncommented that. Okay, so we're good. I think that's probably what I want. I've also commented out some things here, which I had. I don't even know what they do. So I'm just going to see what happens here. Maybe, let's see. I don't know what Smart Indent does. This is highlighting search, which I sort of don't like. I like to be able to type. Actually, I don't know what highlighting search does, to be honest. I've got it turned on. It looks like I've got escape set as a way to turn it off. Well, I don't know. I don't know about that. I'm gonna uncomment that thing, I think. No highlight search, true. Okay, I don't know what it is. I don't care. These two things I think you should copy. It depends on the color scheme that you're using in your terminal. But what I was finding that pop-up windows, I guess P means pop-up menu or something. I know they were using really garish colors that I didn't like. So this one, I just sort of prefer it. Okay, so this one you don't need. This last one, what I'm doing there is I'm saying I'm going to be demonstrating space LF to format a file. And so if you're working with an incredibly huge file, it can take a long time. This one says you're allowed to take up to 60,000 milliseconds or a whole minute, which I've actually had to do for some really many thousand lines long files that are complicated. Because it has to analyze the whole thing. It's basically like compiling it. Pretty sure I only needed 10,000, but look, this looks like it failed at 10,000, so I went up to 60,000. Okay. Let me just go out of that. Go back into that. Oh, actually, you can see some stuff happening. Can you see what's happening in that pop-up window? What it's doing is it's looked in that thing and it said, well, that fellow, he wants rvim and he wants trouble to be installed. So it's just installed them. So let me get out of it. I'm going to edit that again. And that doesn't happen. But if there is an update, it checks for updates. Like, I don't know if it's every hour. I don't know how that works. Maybe every time you start or something. Okay, so this is good. So, and that was called Mason. So I've basically done the first two here. And now I'm going to edit an R file, and I'm going to show you comma RF and comma AA. And maybe I'll probably pop back and forth, actually. Maybe what I'll do is I'll split this guy. And we'll edit an R file. So E space sign, maybe. Okay, Sinclair sign, that would be good. Actually, there's another way you can do this. Watch what happens. Can you see that it's popping? I don't know who or what is doing this, but it's popping up some possible things that start with SIN. And I guess it's looking for things that are similar to it, eh? Like some of these, there's the two that have SIN and the others, I don't know how it judges what is similar, but anyway, and I could use these arrows to go. I just used the arrow to get that one. So yeah, how do you do that now? maybe use that. Yeah, okay. So I just use the arrow. I never use arrows, but I use the arrow. It looks also like it sort of was showing a preview of the file, which is pretty sweet, but anyway. Okay, so let me close that guy. Maybe we'll edit, what did I call it? Video. You're also going to edit the Sinclair thing. And it lets me show you this. At the top, I can click back and forth between these two files. And of course, I can do :ls to see what the two files are, and :b next to go to the next one, and back and forth like that. I wanted to show you this thing. First off, down here, you can see that it knows about the our language. Maybe I need to figure out yeah, so maybe I did :mason to get into Mason, and I'll type 2 to get into this. And so these are the things that have been installed. And so you can see there's an R language server. You can see that Pyrite, which I installed yesterday, has a new version already as for today. Markdown, which I also installed yesterday, also has a new version. These things get installed a lot. So if I were to edit a file that called this Markdown Oxide, which I don't even know what it is, then it would do whatever it does. Okay, anyway, so if you're interested in finding the available things, you would scroll down here and find the name of it. But I'm just going to type U to update whatever those things were. Don't really care. Tailwind CSS, I have no idea what that is. I'm sure it's good. So, okay, so we're good. We're good for that. So in other words, you've got to put the R language. You're working on Python, you've got to put Python language server. There's servers for every damn thing you could think of. Okay, so that's good. Now I typed Control RF to load up the R mode. And since I haven't had it set up before, and I'm on a Mac, it has sort of good security. And I'm going to press allow. So what it is I'm going to allow it to open up a network, which of course I want. But I won't need that again. I'll just edit this again. So it's going to be F to load it up. Didn't ask me that again, because now the Apple. That's nothing to do with lunarvim or whatever. Okay, so the bottom thing is an R window, and you could just type stuff in there. I mean, whatever it is you're interested in. Pi/2, P/2. Okay. Maybe I'll make that a little smaller. Right, so this is, maybe I just will, can't remember how to close this, but I don't really care. I typed that to get out of it. Okay, so let's see. So this is to me, really interesting. So the first calculator I had was called a Sinclair Scientific. It had very, very limited memory space. And so it couldn't do sine and cosine, etc. by the normal way that it's done. And you probably know what it is, some sort of, think of it as Taylor series. It's not actually how they do it, but I think they have a lookup table and a Taylor series combined after they fold it down into some fraction of this cycle. That's not how this is done. So what we do is we start out with a sine and a cosine. We imagine theta to be 0. This function here takes theta in radians. And so we figure out the cosine and the sine. The cosine, of course, of 0 is 1, and the sine should be 0, but this is like for rounding, basically, why they do this. Okay, and then what you do is you break it into milliradians, if I could say that. N will be the number of milliradians, and we just loop over that. And if you know calculus, you know what's happening here. And it's going to, yeah, it's going to return this. Okay, so maybe I'll show you, I'm going to show you GD. I've shown you comma RF. Oh, I'll show you comma AA. Oh, comma RF. Now we're in that mode, comma AA. So what it's done is it's made a graph of the top panel is the sign as computed. The bottom panel is the misfit. It's always less than 10 to the minus 4 or 5 to the 10 minus 4 or something like that, which was good enough for this calculator. That's what the design criterion was, 3 digits. This is a long, long time ago. It was kind of a replacement for a slide rule, which is hard to get more than 3 digits on a slide rule. So I actually find this pretty interesting, but I won't get into this. Okay, so what have I shown you? I've shown you RF and AA, so that's good. Now I want to do GD and GR. So GD, let's see, I want to just make that a little bit better. Okay, so I'm on the symbol GD. It means go to definition. That's where it was defined. Now this is the amazing thing. I've just defined it outside the function, but it's also defined inside the function. So if I do GD, it's telling you that, but now I'm going to do space slash, I'm going to comment that out. And now it will, GD is telling you that it was defined outside the function. So in other words, functions can use global variables. At this point, and so this is just because of the language server protocol. Other languages, Emacs has this kind of, well, could have this capability. I haven't tried it, but I'm sure it can. And, you know, VS Code and anything with a language server can do this. This is why all the videos are sort of raving about language servers. This is what's fantastic about language servers. Oh, another one, which I guess I haven't said that I wanted to tell you is space LS. Yeah, space LS, and that means find local symbols, space LS. And it's saying, well, here are the functions you've got. Also, we have this S thing that looks like whatever these fields are. Yeah, so it's calling these things fields, space LS. So that was I'm not exactly sure of the second. I said global variables, but there's another one, space L capital S. And I think then, like if you're editing 50 files, I think it looks through all the files. I think that's how that works. What else can I show you? Oh, the formatting. Did I tell you that I wanted to show you the formatting? Yeah, LF to space LF to reformat. I'm going to do space LF. Maybe I'm going to do this as well. Space LF. And you see it's kind of cleaned it up. Really handy because like if everyone agrees to just format in this way, then you won't ever get patch or, you know, pull requests where someone changed 1,000 lines because they really changed one line but their whatever RStudio, whatever formatted all the, in the OCE package is a whole sequence of maybe 500 lines authored by somebody who actually authored one line. Can't remember what that person's name was. And I stupidly just accepted the whole pull request without looking at the number of lines that got changed. And gradually those go away because code always gets rewritten and gradually it goes away. But okay, so that was that. Space LS. I've done these, I've done that. GD, have I done GD? So I've done G definition there, but there's also GR. That means references. And it's places where C is being used. And there's a name for this kind of window, which I can't remember what it is. But if you go into that window and press enter on a line, it takes you there in the file. That's super useful. Oh, trouble. Have I said that I was going to do this? Let's see, does it do it? No diagnostics for that. I'm not sure why that is. Okay, so this is actually using linter, I think. I'm not 100% sure who's doing this, if it's trouble or linter or something. But I put some gobbledygook, and you can see here that there's, maybe I can just get rid of that. We don't really need that for now. You can see here that it's saying that that's an error. It's a syntax error there. And it's with like a stop sign with red, and it comes up here as well. And you can also see it by typing space XX, but oh, I guess I didn't. So this is the other thing that I uncommented was for treble. So treble is installed, and I said that I get treble by doing leader, and leader is space XX. So that's what that was. Okay, so space XX, and it gives me all the errors. And again, I can just go and do that. So that's fine. It'll give warnings as well. And now they've gone away. So basically, and space XX toggles that, it turns it off. So basically, if you got any problems in your file, maybe I'll just say, so that's nonsensical, right? You can't, well, I guess maybe it doesn't, oh, I guess you're allowed to do that. We'll say, evidently you're allowed to do that. I'm trying to think of something that's syntaxy wrong. That's syntaxy wrong. And this is syntaxy wrong. So now you'll see that there's, yes, I basically just fix the first one whenever I see a problem like that. And yeah, so I'm not sure why it's not saying that there are 3 there. Yeah, I mean, it has some way of deciding what it doesn't like, but basically get rid of them all. But that's my philosophy, is get rid of them all until they all go away like that. Okay, going back to my, right, I believe I've done all these things, and yeah, I would recommend maybe just, I'm not a big fan of printing stuff, but I think if you write it down on a piece of paper, comma, or F to start R running. So these are 2 things that you need to know. There's also a way to just run a given line, which I don't know what that is. And of course, there's a way of getting help for that mode, and getting help generally, which I find a little bit confusing, actually. This is a really helpful one. These 2 are very, very good. If you're looking at code that's sort of long, or that you don't remember that you wrote, or that someone else wrote, really important to do that. Treble, basically, my recommendation is get rid of all the warnings, I mean, no matter what. And it will give you some things that you might disagree with. Like, for an example, okay, so I've just made a variable, which I call T, and it's going to say, don't do that. Don't do that. And of course, that could mean temperature in quick code, but you should just say, and the same, you should just do that. And obviously that was just junk that I put in. So get rid of that stuff. Yeah, so clean up all the stuff that Trouble says is a problem. That's another good advice. You won't really need to go to the command center very often. My recommendation on that, though, is, I'll go into it again. Don't copy too much stuff at once. My whole thing is 70 lines long about, and probably 10 or 20% are commented out things. So yeah, I mean, the problem is, and this is what I like about lunarvim, is it gives you a config that's already pretty good. I'll just say I switched to lunarvim from another vim, just plain neovim, because to get something working, I asked, for help. And one kind person said, well, you can do what I've got. Here's like 2,000 lines of config code, and between lines, 300 and 330 is probably what you want. Gosh. And so I copied that, and I basically had this incredibly long thing. I have no idea what it was doing. When I ran into problems, I never knew. I had weird behaviors, and it's because, well, that person had a particular like. I mean, they wanted a certain thing to happen when they pressed, a closing parenthesis, for an example. I think that's what I wanted to say. Hopefully this is at least of some use. What I'll do, I think, is I'll load this up on YouTube, and I'll just put this thing here into the YouTube. Take care. Bye.